You might have known him as Deion Primetime Sanders then. But you know him as Coach Prime now.
I'm coming to work and not to play. I'm coming to kill it and not to kick it. We got a few positions already taken care of because I'm bringing my luggage with me. And it's Louis. And when I get him, it's gonna be changed. I'm coming.
And I'm sure most of you didn't know about 10 years ago is when he first picked up his coaching whistle and started his journey to becoming the coach you know today, and has been winning ever since. But up there in Boulder, Colorado, he has done way more than just becoming the next head coach by bringing in record-breaking revenue earnings, to local restaurants adding different food options to their menu, to saving people's jobs. We'll discuss and get to more of that later on, but as of saving people's jobs, we must start with the guy who hired Coach Prime at his new home, Rick George, the athletic director, who has had a long journey trying to find that next head coach to bring the winning atmosphere back to Boulder, because he was slowly making his way up the list of the next one to be fired if their football program didn't turn around. Help was desperately needed for the Buffs football team, and by the end of this video, you will know how Coach Prime fulfilled their needs.
My house. I built this and this is my house. Now let's continue.
It's July 17th, 2013. Rick George has made his return back to Boulder and was named the AD years after helping play a role in the school's first and only national championship for the football team in 1990. In March of 1987, Bill McCartney hired him as the Colorado's football recruiting coordinator. 2.5 years later, he was promoted to assistant athletic director of football operations. The Buffaloes finished the regular season with the 11-0 record that year and the school's first ever #1 national ranking in the polls. CU lost to Notre Dame in the Orange Bowl, but came back the following season to go 11-1-1 in 1990, this time defeating the Irish in the Orange Bowl, becoming the national champions. At the collegiate level, George has worked in 3 major conferences in football operations, beginning with his alma mater, the University of Illinois, then the Buffaloes, and then spent 8 years with Vanderbilt. This is where George first expanded his professional role outside of solely just football, as he had oversight over all external departments, particularly in the area of managing budgets and developing marketing and promotional strategies for all sports. Back in 2013 is when he agreed to a 5-year contract at CU and officially started on the job on August 12, 2013. In June of 2016, the board approved a contract extension through the 2020 and 21 year, and in June of 2019, another extension was granted through the 2023 and 2024 academic and athletic year. In his 4th year in the position, in 2016, 13 of CU's 16 athletic teams were at one time or another ranked among the nation's top 25, including all 5 in the fall. Included in that group, of course, the football team, as the Buffaloes returned to the national rankings for the first time in 11 seasons, making it to a bowl game for the first time since 2007. Rick was solely focused on turning the football program around when he first stepped on campus. Previously to him, the Buffs hadn't had a winning season since 2004. He wanted to make changes, so he started with the coaching room. The first coach he took interest in was Mike McIntyre, who signed a 5-year contract, becoming the 25th full-time head coach of the Buffs program.
Very blessed and honored to be the head football coach at the University of Colorado.
On September 2nd, 2013, he won his opening game over Jim McElway in the rival Colorado State. His positivity and decision-making during the game was praised. Coming off of 11-1 season in 2012, Colorado fans thought they had the coach needed to win, but quickly realized that work still needed to be done, as their record improved but still had an overall losing record of 4-8. And for some odd reason, on February 20th, 2014, the university decided to extend Mike's contract through the 2018 season, but Colorado wasn't getting any better, going 2-10 in 2014 and 4-9 in 2015. He won just 10 total games through his first 3 years, but led the Buffaloes to their first winning season under him in his 4th year with a 10-4 record and an appearance in the Alamo Bowl in 2016, losing in a blowout game 38-8 to Oklahoma State. That marked the only year the Buffaloes made a bowl game or even posted a winning record under Mike. In his 5th year in 2017, they went 5-7, starting the season with 3 straight wins before going 2-7 in Pac-12 play. That team was in sort of a transitional year after losing several key players off the 2016 championship team. In 2018, the Buffaloes started out the season 5-0 with wins against rivals Colorado State, Nebraska, Arizona State, and UCLA. And that was all she wrote because they closed out the season with straight L's. November 18th, 2018 was the last day Mike was ever seen on campus as he was fired with 2 weeks to go in the season.
Athletic Director Rick George announced the dismissal of the head coach of the University of Colorado football team early this morning.
I wanted to see more consistency with winning seasons, but unfortunately that didn't happen.
Leaving Kurt Roper, the quarterback's coach, to step in as the intern head coach for the final games of the 2018 season. It was back to the drawing board for Rick, as he was now searching for his second head coach. This time taking chances on Mel Tucker, who is coming from a divisional champion, Georgia Bulldogs, in 2018. And he also signed a 5-year contract worth $14 million in December of 2018 and was expected to be with the program for a couple years.
The things I like about him again is, the toughness part. He's a real X and O guy. He's detailed. He's buttoned up.
But can you guess just how long he actually stayed for? Is it 2? Is it 4? Is it 5? Or even 6 years? Well, all of those are wrong, because he actually only stayed for 1 year. And in his lone season, the Buffaloes posted a 5-7 record, only going 3-6 in the Pac-12. But why? Why did he leave so soon? Michigan State was the program that offered Tucker his first big break in the world of coaching. He went on to say even though leaving the Buffs was a difficult decision, the decision to join Michigan State was the right one.
Leaving Colorado, the toughest thing that I've ever done. But this is the right time for me to be here.
In 2021, he led them to their best season in 6 years as they went 11-2. After that performance, Michigan State offered him a massive 10-year, $95 million contract extension. But at the time of recording this video, things aren't looking too hot for him right now. Rick was disappointed in the decision, but he respected Mel and his choices as a person. Rick was determined and did not want to give up on the kids.
I met with our players and coaching staff this morning. We reassured them that we will match their commitment and do everything in our power to hire a great new head coach that they can all rally behind.
And the guy that he thought was going to fulfill that role was Karl Dorrell. And just 10 days after Mel Tucker left the campus on February 22nd, 2020, Karl Dorrell, the receivers coach of the Miami Dolphins, was hired as the new head coach of the Buffs. For the first time in a while, a familiar face was back around the Boulder area, as Bill McCartney hired him as the Colorado's receiver coach back in 1992, which was Dorrell's first full-time job at the Division I level. But what an odd year to start a new position as a head coach because of the shutdown in 2020. March 13th, 2020, the first set of spring practices under Dorrell was postponed because of this, and spring practices will ultimately be canceled as all sports were put on hold for several months. October 9th, 2020, Dorrell finally conducts his first official practice as the Buffs begin to prepare for the shortened season. And with that shortened season, Dorrell led the Buffs to a 4-2 record, being rewarded with the Pac-12 Coach of the Year, also the First Year Head Coach of the Year award. CU earned a bowl berth for the first time since 2016, making him just the third head coach in school history to lead the Buffs into a bowl in his first season. But they lost 55-23 to Texas. Dorrell posted a 8-15 record at CU, 6-8 in conference games, and 4-15 over his last 19 games. 14 of those 15 losses were by 15 or more points. And the Buffs' start to the 2022 season became the first team in program history to open a season with 5 consecutive losses of 23 points or more. What do you think happened next? Yep, he was fired after week 5 of the season.
After an historically bad start to the season, Karl Dorrell is out as the Buffs head coach.
I hired Karl, and it didn't work out the way any of us wanted it to. I have to do what's best for our student athletes, and I felt that a change in leadership was needed at this time.
And Mike Stanford, the quarterback's coach, had to step in as the new head coach, actually winning in his debut, but that being the only win of the season. The Buffs finished the season 1-11 for the second time since 2012. Rick was now in the hot seat, as he had went through 5 head coaches in 5 years. Something just wasn't clicking up there in Boulder. Fans didn't even want to go to games anymore. And if they did, it wasn't a lot. Rick had no more options left, so he called on one man that was known for winning. He knew it was a long shot of making it happen, but he took his chances. But what about Coach Prime made Rick believe he was going to be the one to get the job done? Well, it's because Coach Prime has a track record of winning not only as a player, but as a coach as well. And it dates way back before he was at Jackson State. Shedeur was 5 years old and Shiloh was 7 when Deion decided to start his coaching career after sitting in and watching some of their practices.
I was retired and I took Shiloh and Shedeur to practice. Okay. Just watching the coach have these kids run 10 yards apart and go, and I'm like, somebody gonna get a concussion in here. So I got up and said, Coach, at least let them go at an angle because they're too small for that. I just got tired of getting up. So I just sat there and made up my mind while I was sitting in that chair. If I'm gonna put my kids in this, I gotta run it.
Taking things into his own matter, he started the Truth Youth Sports Program for football, baseball, basketball, cheer, and track, which you could only make the team by trying out. But so many kids showed up that he just didn't want to turn them away.
Shannon, we had 1,200 kids try out. What? It was going to be one team, but I felt bad turning so many kids away, so we had 2 teams at every age, 2, 5, and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old teams.
With his kids getting older, he wanted to move up to the next level, being middle school and high school. He decided to start and open up his own charter school called Prime Prep Academy down in Texas with his business partner D.L. Wallace, making Deion being in charge of the sports teams and athletics and Wallace being in charge of the academic side of things. The school was a kid's dream, being a no-book school, and each kid getting a free laptop with the program and the schoolwork already downloaded for the full year.
Free. It rhymes with me. I said free. I didn't stutter, stumble, or slip, baby. Every kid in the school will have a laptop computer. Your whole curriculum is already downloaded on your laptop computer. We bookless, baby.
Being head coach of the team that year, they played 6 games, but only went 1-5 in 2012. And with the wrong business partner, the school ultimately failed after 1 year, and it was time for him to wash his hands and move on. But for that opportunity, Deion was very thankful for the learning opportunity.
That was the best thing I feel ever happened to me. Best thing to happen. Yes. Failure. Yes.
Just about a year later, he headed over to AAA Academy and became the head coach of the football team in 2015, finishing the season with a record of 4-8. And now with Shedeur going into his freshman year of high school, Deion was now coaching both his sons again on the same team at Trinity Christian High School, where he was the offensive coordinator. Just to show you how real the Prime effect is, in 2016, before he got there, the team's record was 4-6. But once he arrived, in 2017, they went 12-1. The following year, 14-0. And the year after that, 13-1. He stayed with Shedeur at high school for his last year, while Shiloh was now going into his freshman year of college, where he committed to South Carolina. But once Shedeur graduated, Deion was ready to move on to the next level, where he then became the head coach at Jackson State, with his first recruit being, of course, his son, Shedeur. Shiloh hit the transfer portal and came right along. In his first season, they went 4-3 in the shortened 2020 season due to COVID. But that fall, they made their mark, going 11-2. The following year, going 12-1. Shedeur now 21 and Shiloh 23. They have both been with their dad throughout his entire coaching journey. In Coach Prime's last year with the HBCU Jackson State, knowing the big call was on its way for him to move to a Power 5 school was coming, he received a few calls, with one of them being from Rick, who had nothing left on the table but an opportunity for Prime to do something big and make history. He arrived on campus ready to change everything around. He started off with getting rid of the entire coaching staff and had a meeting with the players from the previous 11-1 team and encouraged them to hit the transfer portal because he was coming, and he was coming hot by bringing his Louis luggage with him.
I'm coming to work and not to play. I'm coming to kill it and not to kick it. We got a few positions already taken care of because I'm bringing my luggage with me. And it's Louis. I'm not gonna lie, everybody just sit there butt in the seat. Ain't gonna have a seat when we get back.
Majority of those players in that meeting listened and left, but there are currently 10 players on the 2023 roster that he couldn't scare away and wasn't backing down from the competition. And from that first meeting, sports analysts started to give their opinions, hating on them, saying that it's just impossible to come in and change a struggling program around within 1 year.
Colorado's gonna get absolutely destroyed on Saturday.
But boy, through the first 3 weeks did he prove them people wrong. Since becoming the head coach in December 2020, Coach Prime has impacted, improved, changed, or whatever adjective you want to use. He has been doing great things up in Boulder, nothing close to the previous coaches. After the long-awaited offseason in week 1 against TCU, it still ranks as the highest watched game across college football today. And I'm sure that number is going to continue to climb as the season goes on. In the following week, their first game at home against Nebraska, they generated almost $19 million for the region.
Isn't just drawing a lot of attention here in Colorado, it's also bringing in millions of dollars to our local economy.
So by 2 p.m., things really picked up down here, and happy hour was great and rolled into a really strong early dinner.
How's business? Unbelievable.
Just for that one weekend, almost every restaurant, hotel, even small mom and pop shops were booming with business.
Building more Prime merch actually to go put back out front, yeah, because people keep coming in and asking for it. And
everyone just comes flooding in to buy all their Prime stuff. Then we got like some dry fit Prime stuff too, which a lot of people love.
Coach Prime signed a 5-year, $29.5 million contract, way out of Colorado's budget. We don't have the money yet, but I know we'll have it, so I'm not worried about that piece, said Rick George. In April of 2020, the school announced the football season tickets have been sold out for the first time since 1996. Later that month, Colorado was the only school in the country to have its spring game broadcasted on the main ESPN network with more than 500,000 viewers. Then the money started pouring in. With Coach Prime's arrival, it also corresponded with the record-breaking $28 million in donation to the Colorado's Bus Club for the 2023 year, a major increase from the $20.2 million raised last year in 2022. The massive coverage around the teams has encouraged multiple people around the world to get an up-close view and experience history in the making. Deion has completely changed the culture up there. I don't believe the Boulder area has seen as many rappers or just people of influence in a short amount of time he has been there.
You cannot deny the impact that Coach Prime has had on CU football, impact on the field and off.
I'm seeing more African Americans than I've ever seen before, sprinkling throughout the stands and the stadium and at restaurants and everything, and I absolutely love it.
And just a message to the Colorado State head coach. Coach Prime actually does take his glasses off while being interviewed. The team superfan Peggy is happy again. And if you have time to catch another inspiring story, check out this video right here.